If there is one thing that I do really well in life, it is overcomplicate things. And so tonight I walked into my kitchen thinking, let's have some fun, make use of all these scraps that I have hanging around that have been around for years, probably at this point. We could have made a cake. We could have made a microwave cake. We could have made a brownie. We could have done a number of things, maybe like a standard soft baked cookie. But as I was collecting all of these ingredients, I thought to myself, it is unseasonably warm for winter this January day, and maybe we don't want to turn on the oven. Maybe what we want to do instead is toast all of these random ingredients in a pot on the stove and try to make some unbaked truffles with them. It's a really good idea. I'll give it to myself. Toasted, walnutty, lemony, chocolatey, spiced with some oats, maybe with some flax seeds. It's got a little bit of health. Why not, right? But like, as you'll see, some ideas are most delicious when they stay in your mind and not realized. Oddly enough, I've learned about this through dating, but after taking full inventory of our pantry and fridge and cleaning out some much needed expired items, we begin. In this pot, I am toasting walnuts just until they are fragrant, toasty, but not burnt. That's why I'm moving them around very, very frequently with a spoon. And we're adding our dark cocoa that I think I got from the test kitchen from my last job. So that must have been 4 years ago. And here is some spices from equally long ago. Just adding it in, smelling for fragrance, playing it by ear and soul. I thought about some dried ginger in the cupboards that might go well with gingerbread. So we're taking out a few pieces, giving them a nice little sliver and chop, and holding them until the very end because I don't really want the sugar crystals to melt. Not too much anyway. And I'm gonna add in our lemon zest, chop it in, and give them some time to play together. Meanwhile, the buckwheat flour goes in. I really like pairing buckwheat with chocolate. Buckwheat has this naturally saltiness to it. It's got a little bit of earthiness and grit. It just pairs really well with the earthiness of cocoa. So it's kind of like two kinds of dirt together. And we're binding them with this coconut spread, which is kind of like, I don't know what it is actually. It just tastes like gooey, jammy coconut sugar, and it has a lot of fat, which is good. We like fat. Fat is delicious. And I also have this orange syrup and sea salt caramel that were gifted to me. Just gonna throw it in. Why not? Now, technically speaking, we have all the great building blocks of a delicious thing here. We got sugar, we got flavor, we got fat, we got texture. But I think, as we know in life, you can have all the right ingredients, but it's really actually all in how you put them together. The time, the care, the thought, the process, outside factors that are not within your control. A lot of the times we like to criticize recipes for not being the right recipe, leading to unideal results, but was it ever really just the recipe? Which is why after a while I got really sick of making recipes, because recipes really don't tell the whole story at all. What you have in terms of skill and ingredients and equipment and time all create vastly different things and results. Rarely do expectations ever really flesh out in reality, which is why I feel like recipes kind of set us up for failure in that it builds up our expectations of what the end result should be. That's the word that really kills, I think, our imagination. Think of how many times we use the word or the concept of should in deciding our everyday choices. But here are the truffles. And as the cherry on top, this no recipe gives your hands a nice little treatment. They are beautiful looking. We're going to transfer them to the freezer. And just to be clear, I'm talking about the truffles, not my hands. Here's another gratuitous shot of the truffles under better lighting. And yep, there we go. Okay. The freezer is to let them set a little bit and also to give me some time to figure out what to do with this pot. You know, I am not just gonna go ahead and wash all this flavorful oily goodness down the drain. That will require way too much soap and elbow grease. Instead, I'm gonna cook oatmeal in it. Yeah, I forgot to film the clip of me putting the oats in the pot, so just use your imagination. I know you have it still. AI cannot take away what our brains like to fill in the gaps. And that, I think, is where our power lies. Filling in the gaps outside of the should, letting ourselves play God once in a while. I think basically everybody is playing God every day of their lives. They just haven't realized their full potential yet in how much of a God they can be. I think a lot of the people who have realized that are doing the most to really do the most in the worst possible ways for most of us. I think it's time for us to really explore for ourselves, what kind of God would we like to be if we could be God? No, I'm not saying we are. I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying try it as a mental exercise and just meditate on it, maybe 5 minutes a day. What kind of God would you like to be? 1 minute upon waking, 1 minute before bed, 1 minute at each of your meal times or snack times or nap times. Maybe we can create a little break, oasis, let ourselves go feral. Who cares if you end up with something that is good or bad? My review of this truffle is not bad, pretty good. The saltiness of the buckwheat comes through, perfect with that dark cocoa. Love all the nuttiness. I added a glob of peanut butter in there in case you didn't catch it. But I think we could have avoided cooking the coconut spread and the caramel too much. I think it kind of gave it this crunchy, cracked candy texture. But all in all, whatever, like my cat does, shake your paw off, start again, try another thing tomorrow.